Warren is a renowned hypnotherapist. He's incredibly knowledgeable. He speaks at national conventions for hypnotherapists, both in the United States and in Canada. And we are incredibly blessed to have him here tonight. He's got a wicked sense of humor. So if he says something weird, he's just trying to be funny. So go with it. Sorry, Tim.
That's all right. Okay, so should I begin?
Yes, please.
All right, well, first of all, thank you all for being here. I always tell people that every action you take has got to be designed in one direction. You've got to be selfish about your life. There's a reason for that. Every one of you who's here, there's a reason you're here. Some aspect of your life has led you to begin to work with other people to help them heal themselves. Use the gifts you have, and not only do you use the gifts you have, but you also use all the knowledge you've acquired over, years, decades, maybe a few decades like me. I've been doing hypnosis and this sort of work for nearly 30 years. The reason was I did it because I get great joy out of it. And whether I make money from it or not, that does come to some degree. But it's the value I put on helping other people that really allows me at the end of the night to what I call sleep the sleep of the just. Okay? There are going to be times you do things in your life and you're doing things for the absolute right reason. You're trying to help other people and you're giving them a gift, but they have got to be prepared to accept the gift from you, or else they will automatically reject it. That's a problem. So I'm going to go over 3 different steps I think are important for any one of your clients, no matter what kind of work you do. Because I think time is something you can't reclaim or capture, I'm going to be respectful of your focus. I'm going to try to get to these things. With that in mind, at any point, if you wish to interrupt me or ask a question, please ask. I'm not here to bulldoze you or tell you what I consider to be the absolute truth. Because as Shakespeare said, words are air. They can't do anything. And the person who gives the meaning to words are the people who hear them, not the people who say them. So if there's anything, as Wendy said, I say something to you that may not be clear to you, you don't understand what I'm getting at, please feel free to ask me any question you want, because that allows me to feel as if we're being interactive and all the rest of that. Okay? Does that sound fair? Okay. I will tell you a little bit about myself. In all honesty, this is one of the more difficult things for me to do. I've been a master hypnotist with the National Guild of Hypnosis since 1993. I'm on the summer faculty of the National Guild of Hypnosis. I've done that for 18 different years. I'm also a certified hypnosis instructor, so I can train other people to be hypnotists and do the kind of work I do. And in truth, they can do it better because they're doing it the way that fits them. Congruence is something that's important in life, no matter what you do. What I mean by congruent is to do things that keep you in balance, because when you do that, you're able to give people the best of yourself. And not only does it make you feel better, it makes them feel your authenticity. Okay. I've been a board certified hypnotist through the National Guild, and we were talking about the conferences I've done. I did the Mid-Atlantic Hypnosis Conference a few times in Chicago. I've been at the Canadian Hypnosis Conference in Toronto. I've also been teaching in Vancouver, Canada. Heartland Hypnosis Conference in St. Louis. I tend to do that pretty frequently. In 2019, I was chosen to be a member of the National Guild of Hypnotists Order of the Braid, which was one of their higher honors. Because of the work I do, I work with people who have a lot of different challenges, or we call them issues in their lives. With that in mind, in 2019, I was voted the best psychologist, psychiatrist, counselor in Prince William County, Virginia, even though I am technically not any of those things. But my clients didn't have an area that they could put me in, so that's where I ended up going. With all that in mind, it means absolutely nothing. The truth is, everything I'm doing today has to have some purpose, and the purpose is to allow you to view your clients in a slightly different manner so you can do better work with them. I never succeed until my clients or my students succeed. I'm not considering you students, I'm considering you colleagues. And the questions you ask me also will challenge me and allow me to be better at my presentations. So don't feel as if questions are something I don't want. As a matter of fact, it is. They say that steel sharpens steel. So the more challenging you are to me, the better I can become at the work I do. And ultimately, that's what I do. The teacher who teaches best is the one who learns from his students. Okay. This is my promise to you. By the end of this, you'll have a better understanding of what might prevent your clients from accepting a benefit from your quality work, including 3 secrets for preparing them for a better life. When you have a client walk through the door, or a patient, depending upon what your occupation is, they're going to be varied. You're going to have clients who have all sorts of different issues. They also have all sorts of different stories. They also have all sorts of different filters that they have to take everything that comes to them in their lives. Wendy was saying earlier that my sense of humor is a little unusual. That's true, but for me, it's a very common, it's a perfect sense of humor. But when your clients are there, they have got to take the words you have and send them through the filter of 20, 30, 40 years of their own life, through different experiences, different perceptions that have been developed through the vagaries of life that occurred to them. And they're their own. With that in mind, I think the most important thing we have to do is realize that the most important person in your session is always going to be your client. I think all work has to be client-centered work. I can't force anything onto you. I can give you ideas, I can share ideas with you. And if you feel the ideas can help you, you'll use them. You'll tweak them, you'll change them, you'll modify them for your greatest good. But to do that, there are a few things you have to do as well. I am following some notes I have laid out just to make sure I cover everything. All right. I'm sure many of you have had, I have, in 28 years, it happens to me. It used to happen to me a little more frequently, but it still occasionally does happen. You've had a great session, but your client doesn't seem to have accepted the benefits of the good work you've done. You may use access bars, you may use Reiki, you may use timeline therapy, you may use other entities or guides that come in and help. There are a myriad of different ways that we can help our clients. You've done the work from your perspective, but somehow the client did not accept the benefit of the work. That's the word, accept. You cannot force anyone to do anything. So you may have a misconception if this occurs. You may believe it's about your abilities. You may feel as if your abilities are not what they need to be to really get to the particular client you're working with. You could believe it's your technique. Or you might even believe it's about the time that you spent with them, whether the time was not spent correctly. All these negative perceptions you have as you go in can prevent you from getting the very best work from yourself and for your clients. Because ultimately, that's how you will end up judging yourself. Did my client get what they need? And no matter how good your work is, if the client is not ready to accept the good work you do, there's a major problem. So let's talk about those 3 different things. You may think it's about your abilities. There's a word I like, epiphany. Epiphany. Einstein said that adversity introduces a person to themselves. I've always liked that quote. The fact is, when a challenge comes upon you, it helps determine who you are. Are you going to overcome that challenge? Are you going to go through that barrier, around it, under it, or over it, whatever it is? Are you going to get to the objective? The thing is, your ability has nothing to do, well, it's very little to do with whether your client will succeed. There's a reason for that. Your client has got to, again, be willing to accept the work. And there's got to be a way to do that, which we'll discuss. You may think it's about your techniques. How many of you have been doing the kind of work you're doing now for more than 5 or 10 years? Okay, a few of you. Yes? Oh gosh. Barbara, I see your hand go there and it kind of disappears into a fern, into a palm tree. Oh, I like that. That's magic. Okay. So many of you have been doing it. Every time you've had a client, it has ended up leaving an impression on you. If I work with a client, I have an excellent session with them. They've come back a month later and they've released 10, 15 pounds. They quit smoking. They feel less stressed. The relationship with their friends has improved. Maybe the pain that they had, or as I call physical discomfort, has been released and they're not holding on to that. Maybe the relationships at work have improved. And I look at that. And the fact that that was successful is great. But the fact is, the technique and the approach I used with that person succeeded for them. It was an individual thing. And every single one of your clients who comes through is going to have all those previous blocks, all those other things. So it's not necessarily the technique I used that time that affected them. It was the fact that at that moment, as they walked through the door, they sat down in front of you, or they were on a Zoom session with you. They were congruent and willing to accept the good work you do. That's, I think, what the 30 or 45 minutes I spend with you today is going to be designed to do, to get your clients congruent with healing themselves. Because there's a wonderful saying, God heals and doctors collect the bill. You know, I like that saying. It does two things. A, it says that some of the healing of other people is out of our hands. With that, though, we also do not have to take ownership of the times that they don't reach their final destination. They don't get to that epiphany, that release within their life that they have. And that's because they may be holding on to the negativity in their lives. All of you probably know, at least I'm pretty sure you do, every one of you know that the work has to start with your client. Because if your client is ready to accept the good work you have, then you get the best results. If they come in and they are ready to change, you know you have a huge leg up. If your client comes in and they tell you things like, I can't let this go, congratulations, they've created their own barrier. They tell you they've been holding on to it for 20, 30 years, they don't know how they can change that. Well, that's become what we call part of their new normal. Let's just do a quick experiment, just a quick fun thing, okay? If you take your hands like this, you notice you fold your hands up in a prayerful position. As you do that, you'll notice that you instinctively, without thought, you move your hands together in a certain way. One thumb is on top of the other as your hand is there. What I'm going to ask you to do is take all of your fingers and your thumb, which is not technically a finger, and shift them over by one and have your thumb, your opposite thumb, cover it. Okay. Now, here's the question. You can raise your hand. How many of you found that a little bit difficult or it feels awkward for you? Yeah, it does. Most of you, it does feel a little awkward. Some of you even did this. Well, how do I do that? You're simply moving over one finger and one thumb. Why should that be difficult? Habits. We live on our habits. Habits are kept at the subconscious level, and in all truth, I believe they go even beyond that. The habits we have establish who we are, and they get ingrained, like chipping away at a stone sculpture until those impressions get so ingrained, it's almost impossible to change them. We always go for the things that are comfortable in our life. We want comfort. The subconscious mind has an overriding principle, and that overriding principle is your subconscious mind is protecting you from danger, real and imagined. Real and imagined. It doesn't even have to be real, because if our perception makes it real, it does become real. If you believe, for example, I'll take smoking as an example. I have clients come in, they tell me how difficult it is for them to quit smoking. But if you think about it, quitting smoking is relatively easy. You're just not doing something. You are dedicating yourself to inaction in one area of your life. But the fact is, all the triggers that have been created from previous habits. For example, people who are smokers will get into a car and they believe as they get into the car will not start unless they light a cigarette. They believe if they're having a cup of coffee, if they don't have a cigarette, they don't smoke the cigarette, that means the coffee won't taste as good. Or if they're sitting with their friends, sharing a glass of wine at a bar, okay? Any of those things. They believe that the interaction has to be tied to a cigarette. What happens is, things that should have absolutely no meaning have much more than they do. This is a cigarette, that's all there is. And I'm just using this as an example. You can apply this to anything. You can apply this to overeating. You can apply this to stress that you're holding on to. Your subconscious mind just told you that stress, that cigarette, that additional food, all the rest of those are somehow serving a purpose in your life. And because of the habit, the rational mind can't deal with it. Now, we do access bars, we do Reiki, we do any kind of energy work. They have got to have in their mind a belief that they deserve to have the great work you're giving them. What would prevent that? And that's a really good question. The funny thing is, the greatest difficulty I have with clients is eliminating a sense of self-sabotage, preventing them from feeling worthy of the good work you do. So, in order to get them where they need to be, you need to follow a proven formula. In fact, I believe if you're falling short now and you're not getting the results you want, it probably has little to do with your own abilities. I mean, the people here, you are here now on a Monday at 7:30 when there are a myriad of other things you could do. You're here on Monday toward the end of a pandemic. You're not meeting personally. You're having to navigate Zoom. You're having to navigate the internet, the kind of impersonal approach that this causes you. You're having to do all those things. Well, with that in mind, and if that's true, and it is, it tells you something. It tells you that you are committed to making a change or to approach something in a slightly different way that's going to allow you to do better with your clients. So that means it's not your dedication, probably not your ability, because you're reaching out to other people. There's not one person here I can't learn from. So even as I do this presentation, I'm going to listen to the questions you ask, and I'm going to learn from you. So you have that. When you work with a client, you can have the world's best instructors, okay? I have been blessed in my life to work with some of the very best hypnotists in the world. Jerry Kine was one of my instructors. I've worked with Larry Garrett. I've worked with Dan LaRosa. I've worked with Don Mott, some of the very best hypnotists in the world. And every one of them has taught me something. But even their teaching has to go through the filter of Tim Horn and who he is and who he has in front of them. Jerry Kine is not hypnotizing my clients in front of me. Don Modden isn't doing the work. I am. So what is the thing, the constant that happens with every one of your clients? The constant is that each client is different. So what are the constants you can establish with your clients that allow them to accept the good work you do? Well, the thing I think is most important is your clients have got to love themselves. They've got to put themselves absolutely first, above all else. Now, this is what we have been conditioned to do in our lives. We have been conditioned to put everyone else first. And that actually can be counterproductive. Right now, at my house, I'm dealing with a lot of different issues with family members and their physical ailments and all the rest of that. So if I devote all my time to helping them, I give them my very best, which I do, that would be fine. But before I can truly give them all that I have, all my gifts, I've got to take care of myself. I've got to love myself first. If you have children, you have friends that come to you. I'll take the example of a mother who absolutely loves their child. Their child comes to them. It's Monday night, and the child says, "Mom, I need brownies for school tomorrow. I need 36 brownies." Because you love your child, you will do the very best you can for them. You will make those brownies for them. You'll give them to them so the child can do well at school. You're going to do that, and it's an absolute act of love. The question is, when you give them that gift, is that well of happiness, the well of joy, the well of giving that you have within you, is it beginning to overflow? Are you giving from a sense of abundance? If you're not, you'll make those 36 brownies for your child. You'll send them to school the next day. But if you feel depleted, if you feel as if you have no energy to give it to them, you haven't taken care of yourself, you haven't made yourself first, you end up giving to them with a sense of resentment. The love, compassion, kindness you have for other people should never be given with resentment because it taints it. And then you begin to resent the person you love most because they came to you when you were depleted and you didn't feel good about yourself. But if you feel that you love yourself, you're doing absolutely everything you can for yourself, you give to them from a sense of abundance, a sense of love, a sense of compassion. That is the core of who you are. Because you love yourself, you're giving to someone else you love in the very best way possible, freely, wholly. So, one of the steps, step one, ask your client as they come in the door or when they sit down, who is the most important person in your life? And if they say anyone else, talk to them, go over the things I've just discussed with you. Okay, I understand that, and I think it's wonderful that you're giving and caring. But if you don't put yourself first, you're going to end up resenting the people who come to you, who you love, and you're going to help. Is there anyone in this room, and I see a lot of your cameras are down, that's fine. But I'm sure everyone in this room has had people come to them when they felt depleted, when they felt they had no energy, when they've had a tough day, and all the rest of that had prevented them from feeling the very best they could. And they gave to that person, and maybe not outwardly, but internally they felt a sense of resentment that they were taking from them from the few resources they had to deal with the vagaries and difficulties of life. So, tell your clients they've got to put themselves first so they can make the rest of their life better. It's the idea of taking a rock and throwing it in the middle of a lake and the ripples go out. If that lake's ripples are loving, compassionate, and that's all there is in that lake, the lake is full enough for those ripples to go out and expand out to their entire world. They are creating their own world for their own lives. You are your own universe. You are your own world. And you have to be able, you don't have to, but it's beneficial for you and the family and the people you truly care about to love yourself first and put yourself absolutely first. That's step one. Step two is your perception of the events in your life. I'll give you some examples. I've worked with Wendy before, and I had a session with her. What was really great about my session with Wendy was 2 days later, I began to feel even better. The beginning was fine. I could feel a release then, but the release continued, and it built up momentum like like a rock rolling down a hill, until a week later, I really felt the full positive impact of the work that Wendy did. Now, there are two things in life, gifts and lessons. That moment, I just gave Wendy a gift. I talked about how wonderful the work she does. In truth, it really is. I talked about all the benefits I had from it. So that is a gift for Wendy. The way Wendy receives it tells you about how Wendy feels about herself. If Wendy hears that and she says, "Thank you very much, Tim. That means a lot, especially coming from you." It means two things. It tells Wendy that she is worthy of the compliments and the good things that come into her life. We talk about the law of attraction. Okay. If everything that comes to you is for your greatest benefit and no negativity exists, it makes your life better. But if I give Wendy that compliment and she says, "Oh, anyone could have done that. Really, Tim, that's fine." Deep down, at a spiritual and core level, it's telling her she doesn't deserve the compliment she's being given. Additionally, it tells her my opinion doesn't mean squadoosh. She's essentially insulting me by not accepting the compliment in the best way possible. There's an old Jewish saying, it's more blessed to give than receive, but they're thrice blessed to receive graciously. When you receive a gift the right way, it identifies you and it also honors the person who's giving you the gift. So, the other thing, negativity. There are lessons in life. There's no negativity, there are lessons. I'll give you an example. You're a caretaker for someone. They were diagnosed with a terminal illness. And because of this, you've taken time out of your life. You've re-identified who you are as a human being. You are at that moment becoming a caregiver. Your entire identity shifts over to that. It's a very major shift in your life. You spend the next 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever it is, helping that person as they're transitioning to their afterlife, as they're dying. The moment comes where you've done all the work you can. You've done absolutely everything you can, and the truth is it hasn't been perfect. But you don't want the perfect to become the enemy of the very good. Ultimately, you have to accept that you have done your very best. And if you didn't, you've learned from what's happened. A moment comes where you're holding that person's hand. Their time is coming. Their breath becomes shallow. And you can tell that their life is about to end. And you hold their hand. And their life ends, at least in this existence. They transition to the other life. And at that point, you have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to take a lesson. All the positive, all the love, all the joy you had with this person somehow still exists. And the reason you have the pain, the discomfort, the stress, the anxiety that that death created was because of all the joy, all the happiness, all the rapturous moments that you shared with them and them alone. And you have a choice at that moment. You focus on the loss of that life, or you focus on the joy that that life gave you, that sharing, that wonderful experience that made your life even better than it was. And you ask yourself at that moment, I could not, if I could take this pain, this difficulty, this stress, this anxiety that this death has caused me, and I never had it. But with that, I'd never have the joy. I'd never have the rapture. I'd never have the connecting, the compassion, the sharing, all the things that made this one relationship so special in my life. That's allowed me to build a foundation, to be able to help other people because of the joy they gave them. Would you let the pain disappear? The fact is, I've asked a lot of my clients that very question, because for whatever reason, a lot of times I end up dealing with clients who are dealing with grief in their lives. And I ask them this simple thing. If you didn't have to have this pain, but you never have any of those other things, would you trade them in? I've been doing this for 28 years, and that question alone causes people to look at it in a slightly different way, a slightly different perception. They begin to realize that that joy that's helped make them who they are is something they would never want to lose. And unfortunately, the payment comes due at that moment of pain. What do you focus on? You focus on the joy that you had or the pain that exists in the moment. The pain will still remain, but if you give the joy, the focus, if you compound that, repeat it, think about it over and over again, in silly times and ridiculous times, all that joy, and you focus on that, the pain no longer has that imprint, that impression, that cutting into the rock. You can look at it and see the beauty of what's happened with that. Shakespeare said, nothing is good or bad, but the thinking makes it so. If you're congruent with accepting that joy in your life, and you find it wherever you are, you truly appreciate it, your life can be so much better. So, the filter I ask my clients to come in and use for the rest of their lives is a filter of gifts or lessons. If they view every action in their life as either a gift or lesson, and that's what they're programmed to do, their life tends to get happier, more joyous. And those negative things begin to take on an entirely different connotation. I'm not saying this is easy, but what's easy is not always right. What's right is not always easy. Life is a choice between fear and love. Live your life in love. Now, one of the exercises I ask all my clients to do is I ask them for a week after they meet with me the first time, because I like to have 3 sessions with my clients. I ask them to write down 5 gifts that occurred to them in the course of the day. The gifts could be someone saying, oh, I really like your blouse. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It means a lot to me. Or it could be someone holding a door for you, and you look at them and you acknowledge the kindness that was given to you, and you feel worthy of that kindness. If in the course of the day you're looking for those gifts, your mind will be focused on them. Your mind will be focused on all the good things that come into your life. And because you've taken the time to write them down at the end of the day, you're programming yourself to see the good things in life, the gifts that exist in your life, the gifts that previously you may not even have acknowledged. Driving into work, someone gives you a little bit of space to get in to a lane. And you look at them and you nod to them and you shake your... You wave at them. You don't shake your fist. You wave at them and acknowledge the kindness they gave you. You've given them something positive as well. And you're conditioning yourself to look for all the gifts that occurred in life. That becomes part of your program. The negative things that occur in life. If you look at them to determine what the pain is, what the discomfort, the anxiety, the stress they bring in, you'll find those things. But if you look at the pain, you look at the stress, you look at the discomfort, you look at the lessons they're supposed to teach you, that initial imprint, negativity, begins to disappear. The story I tell, I don't know if this happened before or after I had the meeting, my last meeting with this group. I fractured my shoulder. Did we talk about this last time, Alice? Okay. People who know me know that I love my dogs. I love my cats. I love my horses. I love my animals. They're part of my life. I know a lot about border collies. I know about Estrella Mountain Dogs. I know about Aussie Shepherds, Labs. I know a lot of different breeds of dogs. I used to do rescue for dogs. My father-in-law had a Samoyed. Her name was Terry. And Terry was about 14 years old. My father-in-law, unfortunately, he died. He was in his 80s. He left, and we took Terry into the house. Now, Terry is quote-unquote a dog. But Terry to me had a different meaning. So my father-in-law was in bed, not able to move. My sister-in-law was his caretaker, did a great job, and we visited him periodically to take care of him. Terry would jump up on the bed and allow his last few months to be that much more wonderful. When that dog comes into my life, I have an obligation to her. I have an obligation to my father-in-law. I have an obligation to myself to make her life, and at that point she was 14, to make her life as positive as it possibly could be. So, people who know me know that I am pretty smart and all, but I have a lot of discrepancies. And one of them is I am one of the world's messiest people. I am terrible at keeping things in order. Well, I happen to be working my home office. This is my office in Manassas. I was working my home office, cleaning everything off the shelves and shifting things around. And I reached up into one of my bookshelves. I have lots of bookshelves and lots of books. And as I turned around and was about to take a step, Terry was lying down on the floor next to me. Now, my foot was going to come down. At that point, I weighed 100 and some odd pounds more than I do now. And I knew if I stepped on this 14-year-old dog, I could really hurt her. I didn't want to do that. So instead of doing that, I just began to fall. And I landed on my shoulder. Okay? And at that point, I realized, boy, this hurts. But guess what? Tim's a hypnotist. Tim can take care of physical discomfort in his body. Tim's really good at pain management. So I anesthetized the pain in my arm for a while. I walked around for 2 hours. It still hurt. And when I tried to lift my shoulder, I couldn't lift it very high. Oh, that's strange. And it still hurts. I'm usually really good at this. Pain serves a purpose in your life. It tells you you need to take action. That's its only purpose, to tell you that some action is necessary. I had to go to the urgent care, okay? So I went to the urgent care. They asked me, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's your physical discomfort level? 2. Oh, okay, we'll get around to you. 5.5 hours later, they finally took the x-ray. The doctor came in, her face was white as a ghost. She said, why aren't you screaming? I said, well, why would I be screaming? You fractured your shoulder. It's one of the worst breaks we've ever seen. Additionally, you've also dislocated your shoulder. And I said, okay, why aren't you screaming? I came here because the pain told me I needed to see someone who was an expert who could really help me. That's why I'm here to see you. The pain no longer serves a purpose. Still hurt though, I will admit. So I said, what do we need to do? What are the actions necessary so this can really be dealt with in the thoroughest, best way possible? I work with doctors. I always go to the other professionals, okay? I'm wonderful with hypnosis, but I do not think I heal anyone. The clients heal themselves and the doctors allow them to do that the best way possible. They said, well, you're going to have surgery today because this break could be very unstable. And I said, oh, well, that's kind of cool. I've never had any surgery like that before. My perception was I was going to go through an experience I hadn't had before, and I was going to enjoy it. So my perception allowed whatever was going to happen with the surgery to be have as positive a result as it could be. Mindset, very important. I said, I'll just drive over to the hospital. Is Prince William okay? Yeah, but no, you can't do that. Oh, why not? I drove here. They said that was a mistake too, but we'll bring an ambulance in. We'll take you over. Wow, cool, an ambulance ride. I haven't had one of those either. Okay, good. So I got in the ambulance. We went over, and they were doing the surgery. The doctor said to me, we're going to have to put in 9 screws and a plate into your shoulder. And I said, oh, no problem. I'm going to ask you when you're doing the surgery, only say positive things about how well I'm healing and everything will be great, all the rest of it. Again, the mindset's vitally important. Now, that was for me. Your clients have to have a similar mindset. They have to have an idea of what the destination is. Where are they going? What will be the result? Because, now I'll get to that in a minute. They did the surgery. The anesthesiologist comes in and said, do you remember anything about the surgery? And I said, no, but the number 7 keeps popping up in my head. The anesthesiologist said, oh, he said the positive things, but he kept saying 777 because he didn't believe you were hearing anything. Fine. Whatever, doc, it doesn't matter. He also told my wife that I'd get 50 to 60% of the mobility back in my left arm, my left shoulder, okay? He was wrong. I did not allow the limitations he was putting on me to be true. He never saw anyone heal as well as I did, and my mindset said that I would heal. If your clients come in, they come in with a purpose. The purpose for every one of your clients should be this, and it can be broken down into a myriad of different ways. Your clients come to see you for one reason, to be happier in their lives. Happier in their lives. It could be releasing some entities in their lives. It could be releasing pain, stress, anxiety. It could be working their muscles so they're more flexible. But all those things come down to this one thing, that their lives would be better, happier, healthier. If they're not there for that, they have no idea where they're going. You're going to have difficulty getting them there. Wonderful. I'm going to call them back, and I apologize. Many of you know the story of Alice in Wonderland. They say that brilliant people create, but geniuses steal. I steal from a lot of people because I'm not very bright, and I know a lot of people are a lot smarter than I am. So I use stories because stories explain people. They create a metaphor for the client that they can understand. If I talk about Alice in Wonderland, many people have read the book, and I have an archetype that allows me to connect with my clients. There's a scene where Alice is walking down a path, and she comes upon the Cheshire Cat. And she says to the Cheshire Cat, "Where does this road lead?" The Cheshire Cat looks at Alice and says, "Well, where are you going?" And Alice says, "I don't know where I'm going." The Cheshire Cat says, "If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there." Your client has to know what the destination is, or else getting them there will be nearly impossible. They have to hold it in their mind. They have to believe it thoroughly. They have to accept it as, in Latin, it's called a fait accompli. It's a done deal. It's done. You've got this. May not even be Latin. It's okay. I'm not even fluent in English. So anyway, the fact is, if your client knows where they're going, it allows them to get there a lot more easily. So that's rule 3. The third step in working with your clients. Number 1, establish for them before you even begin that they are the most important person in their own lives, and every action they take in their life from that step forward is designed to make their life happier, healthier, more abundant. If they're not doing that, what the heck are they doing? Why are they living their lives? Your obligation in life is to be as happy as you possibly can be according to the given circumstances that come to you. Step 2, there are only gifts and lessons in life. The circumstances that come to you can be defined as either a gift or a lesson. And if they're gifts and lessons, the negativity begins to be less. That doesn't mean that there won't be difficulties in life. Of course they will. But if your client is wallowing in the negativity of their life, I use the word wallow very appropriately. If you think of what a pig does, a pig rolls around in the mud and it gets pushed down in. It's a horrible thing, all the negative things that occur to the pig, all that dirt they have on. But the fact is, even that dirt in the pig's life serves a purpose for them. Allows their skin to be a little bit better, allows their body to take the sun a little better. It actually is a beneficial quality. Some of you know, my wife and I have horses. Every night we go outside and we end up mucking stalls, taking all those stalls, taking all the poop and moving them into a giant pile. Think of the negative as the poop in the stalls. It goes into another area and we let it marinate for 6 months. At 6 months, that poop, that negativity, all those horrible things that occurred turn into fertilizer. And that fertilizer allows the crops that we have in our field to grow a little bit better. We even have neighbors who come and scoop it up. We like our neighbors, and they end up with tomatoes, cucumbers, other kinds of vegetables, and they share it with us. The negativity can allow your life to be better if you take it, understand it, and utilize it. The third step, have your client understand what their destination is. Also have them do this. Their destination has got to be a benchmark. A benchmark. You want them to have a place that they want to be, and you want that place to be a starting point for something even better. You do not want them to limit their success. You don't want to tell them, when you get here, you should be satisfied. If you become a millionaire and you're financially satisfied, you won't go any further. You have to understand the why. You have to understand the why of what you're doing. Earlier, when I began, I talked about sleeping the sleep of the just. Sleeping the sleep of the just. You work with a client who has been smoking for 45 years, and the doctor tells them they need to smoke or their life will begin to end. You work with them for 3 weeks. At the end of that period, that person's no longer smoking. You know what? I got paid to do that. That's wonderful. But was I paid to help them quit smoking? Was I paid, and again, it's your perception, was I paid to allow someone to live another additional 5 or 10 years? Was I paid to allow someone to find within them their own resources, to spend more time with their grandchildren, to be at their grandchild's graduation from high school, to dance at their grandchild's wedding, to become a grandmother, a grandfather, and begin to expand that out? The money's wonderful, but at the end of the night, when my head hits the pillow, and I think I've improved one person's life, and that person's life begins to expand out to their entire family, and from that family to other people. That's what I value about the work I do. Find out what your clients truly value, why they're there, what are the full ramifications of the action they're taking. If they understand that, they become committed to taking the action. They become committed not only to taking the action, but willingly accept the benefit of the action that you're giving them and the work that you're doing. Because it always has got to be client-centered work. Okay, are there any questions? I know, how did I get so good looking? Everyone asks that. It's all genetics. My mom was wonderful. My dad, not so much, but there you go. Anyway, so please ask as many questions as you like. I'll do my best to avoid them because I want to become a politician. No. Ask any questions you want. Wendy's right. I do make a lot of jokes. There's a reason for that. Victor Borges said, the shortest distance between two people is a good laugh. If someone laughs, they're opening up. They're allowing the other positive emotions to go within them. It also allows the endorphins, the serotonin to flow through their body and allows them to feel better. And that's a wonderful thing to do. So, I've spoken enough. My voice is about to give out. Please ask questions. Okay, I know you're all stunned, or you're sleeping, one or the other.
So Tim, if you're working with somebody and they don't seem to be receiving the work that you're doing,
right?
What is your approach to that?
The steps I've discussed with you are the ones you begin with your client from the very beginning. The very beginning. I actually, I tell my clients, I value myself. I value the work I do. I really do. I have permission. I've given myself permission to fire clients who are not willing to love themselves, who are not willing to care about themselves. It would be counterproductive of me to work with someone that wasn't willing to accept the good work I give them. If I don't have a positive feeling about them loving themselves first, and I mean, that's the very first thing, if they're willing to accept that, that can be difficult. So I always bring them back to that. I go through these 3 steps before I even begin a session. Part of that is this. You're building rapport with people. Rapport is vital, okay? The commonality you have is they are human beings and they want to be happy. The commonality is you have with them is you've had difficulties in your life that you've worked to overcome. The commonality in your life is that you are a human being, 1 in 7.3 billion people in this planet with a unique, special purpose. And your purpose at that moment is to help them. Their purpose is to live the happiest, healthiest life possible. And these 3 steps allow them to feel they're worthy of that. What do? I generally, at this point, because I've been practicing these 3 steps, I generally don't have too many people who are not willing to receive it at that point, right? Do they have to work to love themselves? That's kind of an interesting question. Do people have to work to love themselves? If we are born, I should continue with that sentence because it looks really bad if I don't. If we were born, every one of you, in theory, was born. Okay, maybe the stork brought you, I don't know. But if we were born with special purpose on earth. And if we accept that, that means that purpose is unique and special, and it allows us to be a positive light in the world. So take that feeling, start with that feeling with your clients and tell them they have a purpose too. The fact is, when a client comes in front of me, they're serving a purpose for me. They're allowing me to fulfill one of my purposes in life, to enable people to make their lives better. So they're helping me as well. And I'm asking them to help me by loving themselves. But that's an action they have to take. Okay? Does that answer the question, Teresa?
Yeah, so you're attributing most of that really then to the lack of self-love, that's where it all starts.
Golly day, yes. Yes.
Okay.
No, you can answer this question within your own mind. Do you truly love yourself? Do you truly love yourself? And if every action you take is to love yourself, okay, I'll give the example of what was happening with me, right? Wendy's known me for a while. She knew me when I weighed a lot more. The question was, I came to the point where I was saying, okay, why am I doing this? I was answering the why every time. Why am I eating the food I have? Because it gives me a momentary satisfaction. That's true. But you know what? I was looking at my life and I was evaluating it, holistically, from a full point of view, from all the aspects of my life. I was relatively healthy. Wasn't the healthiest I could be. But I had a good occupation. I loved what I was doing. I have a wonderful wife, a great life. I love my animals. I love the work I do. I enjoy helping clients. I want that to continue. Is having a tray of baklava allowing me to continue with that? Yeah, it is. No, it's not. It's not. I love baklava. That's my kryptonite, right?
Well, you
Anyway.
can show us a good kryptonite.
Oh, it's a good. Anyway, the question is, how much of that do I truly need to be happy? Every action we take has to go through that filter. When I have a piece of baklava, for example, when I have that piece of baklava, I've gone back to 1979 at Generous George's in Fredericksburg, Route 3, where I'm sitting with my friends. Indeed, that's 44 years ago, a long time ago, 42 years ago. I'm with my friends at Generous George's in Fredericksburg. I'm enjoying my company with them. And the truth is that piece of baklava transports me back to something that occurred 42 years ago. But you know what? I don't need the baklava. I need the memory of being with my friends and all the things that are truly represented to me. And in my mind, I know I can connect to those things. I can have that joy because I choose to have it. And by moving it away, it doesn't stop me from having that joy, just as the loss of someone in my life doesn't prevent me from having the joy that they gave me. What am I holding on to? What purpose does it serve? If I have a client come in, they say, I'm stressed in my life. My first question is, how's that helping you? How is that helping you? If it's not, why are you holding on to it? Why are you holding on to it? It doesn't make sense. And it seems so blatant, so simple. But they've gotten a habit. They've gotten a habit of, we'll talk about stress, we'll take baklava as stress. It's not, but think of that baklava. How is loving that baklava truly helping me? It's not. It's the memory it brings back. I can put all that sugary treat aside. By the way, I still have baklava on my birthday and one other time a year because I'll never deprive myself of something. But I'm going to put it in the right perspective. And when I have that baklava on those 2 days, it's no more than 12 or 13 pounds on those days that I eat baklava. No. Just have a little bit. So,
Thank you very much.
does that explain?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Ask your client. First of all, not first of all, it'd be like 12th of all. I said first of all 12 times already. Richard Bach has a wonderful quote in Illusions, a great book. I hope you've all read it. He says, argue for your limitations, they become yours. Argue for your limitations and they become yours. I refuse to argue for any limitations in my life. I'm just going to accept that I have very few. And the ones I have are based on physics and I may not be able to mutate out of. The pain in my shoulder tells me I need to do something. It serves its purpose. I can let the pain, the discomfort in my life disappear. I've been able to do that with just about every injury in my life except one thing, kidney stones. Never been able to overcome the discomfort of kidney stones. That's difficult. But everything in your life, if you ask, is this helping me? No, then get rid of it. It is addition by subtraction. If you tell yourself you can't get rid of it, congratulations, you're allowing it to stay. But if you tell yourself you're capable of making the change, it makes it so much easier. Boy, I talk a lot. Other questions? Alice.
Alice, you're on mute.
Yeah, you had muted, Alice. It's okay.
Sorry.
You have hard of hearing. I was reading your lips anyway. Go ahead.
I have a family member who, and I appreciate what he has accomplished, which is getting out of 47 years of drug and alcohol abuse. So I basically do appreciate that. I wasn't party to the garbage that went on with his life because I was out of the family by the time this happened. But he has basically alienated every single other member in the family, both siblings as well as his own previous family, who will have nothing to do with him, by continuing to insist on writing long letters, epistles, 4 pages, 6 pages, this bad thing happened to me, that bad thing happened to me, that bad thing happened to me, to the point where no one wants to hear it and no one wants to communicate with him. I'm the only member in the family that's communicating with him.
Right.
And I listen to every single speaker and just try to get one pearl of wisdom with which to help him. I mean, or is that even possible?
To help him?
Yeah.
The past is prelude. Writing those things could be like a gestalt, right? It could be cathartic for them. But that's his. That's his. You serve a purpose by listening to him, but you don't serve a purpose for holding on to it, right? When he says that to you, perception. What is the lesson you learned from it? That he needs to purge himself of all these things, but you do not have to live his journey with him. You focus on the fact that I'm serving a purpose for him, and I can glory in the fact I'm helping him, even if he's not willing to accept it. You know the concept of Ho'oponopono?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, right? Forgive them, forgive yourself, forgive all those things, right? It's kind of that. I appreciate other people's life's journey, and I realize all the events in their lives have brought them to that point. Okay, lost my mom when I was 10. She passed away when I was 10. It's a horrible thing, and I look back on that now, and I think of that day, and it's ingrained in my mind, and it was a horrible day. I am happily married to an incredible woman now. Okay, using hypnosis, I convinced her to marry me, and every night I have to re-induce hypnosis to allow her to continue. It's worked so far, 25 years, a little bit more. It's working beautifully. Anyway, but the fact is, if my mom hadn't passed away, as horrible as that is, the joys I have in my life would not be the same. Things would have changed. All the joys that I'm able to accept now are a result of all the previous events, good, bad, and different. All the joys in your life are the result of the things that happened to you. He is not ready at this point to realize the lessons he learned from those things, and he keeps writing about them. The question is, what is the writing? Ask him this. How are writing the letters helping you, truly helping you? How are they really helping you? And if he says they help me because of this or that, all right, what's your destination? When will the time come that the letters will no longer serve a purpose for you? And what's stopping you from getting there? Those are the questions I would ask. You're not responsible. Everyone in this room, everyone in this Zoom room, it rhymes, great. Everyone in this room probably has a lot of empathy, right? Empathy serves a wonderful purpose. It allows you to see where people are. But that doesn't mean that you have to carry the baggage for them. It doesn't. Empathy should serve you to allow you to have an understanding of what's going on with them, not to live their journey for them, right? As they write the words, if your objective when you read the letter from them is to have an understanding of the journey they've taken in their life so you can apply it to other people in one way or another, and you can get the lessons from their letter, then it becomes positive. If you allow yourself to wallow in the negativity they have in their life, it doesn't serve a purpose for you, right? It's not. Does this make sense?
Yes, but do I have the right to tell him, because I know this for a fact, every member of the family has stated first of all, they don't want to get the letters. They don't want to hear from him. And I think your advice for Ho'oponopono is probably the best, because I've actually had that came through me a couple days ago, that if I could just get that through him, that's the only thing he has to say to them, that would be enough. So I don't know if anybody will ever accept him back in their life, but I feel sorry for him, I guess. I feel sorry for him. but I don't
After
take on his
47 years,
stuff.
you're right. After 47 years, though, he's released an addiction. Oy, you know? And as horrible as it sounds, there's a lot of good in that.
Mhm.
We can focus on the 47 years of the fact that he released it, you know? And please allow it to keep being released, you know? You know? So
Yeah.
what do, every individual has got to look at, again, being selfish. That doesn't mean I have the right to control what other people do. I cannot control the negativity my brother might bring to me, and he does from time to time. I can't control that, but I do not have to allow him to negatively affect me. That's my choice.
Mhm.
And every one of your relatives, well, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be up to them. But if their job is to be as happy as they can be, they don't give anyone else the power to make them happy or unhappy. It's always got to start with themselves.
Mhm.
That letter is words. It's words. Ink on a piece of paper. It can be burned in a candle. It doesn't have to negatively affect them unless they choose to allow it to. And by the way, I'm not Pollyannish. I'm not saying this is simple, because it's not. Part of the reason it's not is because people have gotten in the habit of being empathetic, being sympathetic to all those things. And unfortunately, that's a negative habit sometimes too. Everyone's happiness is their own. Abraham Lincoln said, a person's about as happy as they make up their mind to be. Of course, he was a manic depressive, but separate issue. The fact is, I do believe that. When I get up in the morning, if I know everything that occurs to me is either going to be a gift or lesson, even the negative things that people bring to me, that filter allows things to be a lot easier for me to deal with. I don't envy you, though.
Thank you.
Family dynamics are very difficult.
Yeah,
They are.
but thank you.
Yeah. So if you talk to everyone, the phrase I just used, you can use it a lot. Boy, Bob wrote me a letter and I got really upset about it. Okay. Okay. Well, how is that helping you be happier in your life? It's not. Okay. Do you have the choice to not allow it to make you upset? You say yes. Okay. Or you can see yourself as helping him. You know, that letter is probably helping him, just getting it out there. Look at the fact you're helping him as opposed to the fact that he's bringing all this stuff onto you, right? The things we carry, you know, you're carrying things, you can take them off. But these things end up being sent out like a spider's web, you know, connecting to all these other different things. Anyway, there's no perfect answer for that one. I really wish there were.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anything else? Any other questions? I do want to thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me. It means a lot to me that I can talk to people and maybe allow them, this is my throwing the rock in the pond and hopefully expanding out. If this helps 3 or 4 of your clients, that would mean the world to me, and feel free to let me know that it did. Okay?
Appreciate
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, we really, and we're going to close now with our prayer. There's not a lot of us. There's just 8 of us. So, and everybody's been part of the this part of it. So I'll start, and then I'll go to Wendy, and then Michelle, then Christine, then Teresa, and Tim, then we'll come to you.
Okay.
So very gently close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. Dear Mother, Father God, Divine Infinite Spirit, source of all that is, I ask to be connected to you, to my higher self, and to the higher self of everyone here present. And I especially thank Tim for imparting in his very gentle and humorous way his wisdom, his understanding, his techniques, and his love for humanity and for wanting to bring his talents to make people's lives easier. I ask for special healing for the following. The friends of Alice Berg, the mother and the son who are in COVID, the friend of Susan Bowman, the very disastrous accident, the Jones family, the Sweeney family, the Zarnopis family, and my son, my daughter, daughter-in-law, grandbaby, and my daughter's new husband. And I ask for special healing for the political process and all those that are in refugee camps, all those who have transitioned from the planet, especially those souls who do not know where they are and are completely confused as to what this new place is that they've just gone into. And Wendy.
So, God, thank you so much for bringing Tim to us tonight. He's such a dear friend, and I love him. Thank you for blessing us with friendships. I ask for prayer for everyone that is here tonight and those that are involved with church, those that have been affected by COVID over the last several years, and specifically those that we've been praying for healing. Bring healing to Wanda, Barb, Carl, Dawn, Alice, and for the Ortiz family and my soul group.
Thank you. And Michelle.
I want to send prayers to anyone that's struggling with seasonal depression or with the holidays coming up.
Thank you. Christine.
I would like to ask for healing for my dad, for my mom, for John, Sam, myself, my grandmother, for Barb, for Alice, for Carl, for Neil, for Rodrigo, for everyone else that we had been praying in the healing group. If I missed everyone here tonight, anyone else who needs it, and Mother Earth. Thank you.
Thank you. Teresa.
Well, thank you, Tim. That was most enjoyable. I'd like to put my family in our prayer circle and also the people of Wisconsin. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Very important. Samantha.
Hi, everybody. I'd like to do a prayer for everybody here, that everybody is happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving, their family, their friends, extended family, animals included also. If you have any animals in your life, and just have a healthy, happy week. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. And Tim.
I asked first my little brother who's about to start dialysis. He needs to be improve his quality of life, improve. All the people here who were kind enough to share their thoughts and their energy as I presented to them. I thank you for allowing me to reach out to people and serve my purpose on earth.
Thank you, Tim. And I think we have one without video and without audio. Kathy, if you wanted to say some prayer.
Okay, thank you. I just want to pray for our world, just Stop the violence. Just let it stop. Anyway, I'd like to also pray for just peace and serenity and better health, as I have to probably contend with a tooth infection. So, but thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kathy. All right. And we thank our guides, our angels, our archangels, our ascended masters, but most especially we thank Master Jesus, Master Buddha, Master Kutumi, Saint Francis, Saint Germain, Saint Gabriel, Saint Raphael, Saint Michael, the Blessed Mother, the Divine Feminine, Mary Magdalene, Moses, Metatron, Melchizedek, Mohammed, and Kuan Yin. We ask to be cleared, centered, aligned, balanced, and grounded, and that whatever come for each of us in the coming week, come for our highest good. We also ask for the healing from Archangel Metatron and his healing angels, so that we each receive the highest vibrations of light possible. We also thank the Elohim, the creator gods, and the great rays, the lords and masters of the rays, and the archangels of the rays. We thank all these beings through Christ our Lord, amen, and through I am, amen. Namaste. Thank you again, Tim. It was absolutely
Thank you.
delightful. I had forgotten that you did bring a sense of humor to this, which is totally needed.
Mhm.
Take care.
Yes, I second that as well. Tim, this was amazing. I just
Oh, thank you
thoroughly enjoy it. You're such a joy. So thank you so much.
so much.
This is
It means
great.
a lot to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wendy, always great to see you. Alice, it's great to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you. And frankly, it's hard to believe you weighed 100 pounds more than you do, but you know, that happens.
Yeah.
And you probably
And he did it just like that, Alice.
Yeah,
I mean, he just,
overnight. I mean, like what?
Yeah.
A year?
well, in a healthy way. I
Yeah.
mean, over less than a year.
Yeah, yeah.
That's fast for that.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
been, I get up every morning and I exercise, 5 days a week. And every morning I do it because, not for the pain I feel then, but for how good it feels to get it done. It's the focusing on the positive that comes from
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And great. Well, happy Thanksgiving.
That's right.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes. Happy
Bye, all.
Thanksgiving, everyone. Good night. Thank you
Good
again,
night.
Tim.
Thank you.